Hey, some western red cedars. Incredibly mossy rocks. Don't see that in the Rockies. Oh. That's the chili water I've been looking for. What do you think of that, little girl? Yeah, you're right. It's a little shallower over here. Ooh, oh, caddis everywhere. There's some mayfly stuff, though. Wow, it's been a while since I fished in the Cascade mountain range, and this is just a wonderful sight to be on. I'm on a small tributary to the Skykomish River in far western Washington State, and I'm here to get away from the summer's heat. And like anglers looking to find cooler weather in the mountains, the fish are also going way up into these tributaries to get into cooler water, often found at the sources of some of the main river sections. So I'm going to keep hiking upstream, try to find some cool spots for the fish to hide. And what we're going to concentrate on today is being able to see from our perspective. We have some really harsh lighting conditions. It's going to be interesting to keep track of a clear line, a clear fly line going down to a little fly with contrasting light and fast water, as well as what the fish are seeing and how an angler can match their vision to match up with what these trout are seeing. It's going to be a great day. So I was walking upstream to find a good pool, and I found one. This is an amazing deep pool that's covered over with a lot of fallen trees, and I'm hiding in trees. And what I have is a mix of dark shadows where I'm hiding, and I have super bright light mixed with dark shadows on the water. So I'm able, I've got brown lens, light brown lens, like kind of a copper color polarized lens that I'm looking through, and I can see into the water shadows, and that's critical as the predator that the angler is to see down deep, is to have a light colored lens. And I'm pretty sure I can see flickering tails down underneath these branches, and from this high perspective I'm able to see down deeper with a light colored lens. I've got a couple of dry flies on. I'm going to float them through there and see what comes up. If not, we may have to switch tactics, but from here, this is a beautiful sight. Getting down can be tricky. Okay, here we go, the approach. Come here, Ariel, stay up here. We don't want the fish to see us. There's the first drift through on the near current. No looks. I have a dark fly and a light fly, a big fly and a small fly. That way I have contrast. And in the contrast, I can pick up what's different. And the fish can be looking for something smaller. They might be looking for a big meal. I'll find out what it is they're looking for by having contrasting colors and contrasting sizes. It'll take a little bit of fishing to get it dialed in, but I like to start with the contrasted colors and sizes to tempt the eyesight of a trout. Oh, there we go. Good cast. Right around the logs. Those flashes seem to be holding deep. Getting a little bit more certain I'm gonna have to change tactics from floating to sinking fly. Hey Ariel, we're looking for fish. Yeah, we're not looking for voles. We're looking for fish, remember? All right, you look for voles. I'm gonna go look for these trout up here at the head of this pool. Ha! Little guy went after the big fly. Bigger guy went after the littler fly. That's showing me that the older ones are being a little bit more selective. It's all right. You get smarter as you get older, if you're a fish. There we go. Completely out of the water. An incredibly energetic take. Going into those logs. Oh, I love woody debris, and so do fish, because they hang me up. Oh my goodness, no. That was a beautiful fish, and it hammered my huge fly. And what it did was it just bent me double, took me into the woody debris, a different log than it started at, and it hooked my point fly on the log and then swam away. So already I'm into very selective, very intelligent, hard-fighting fish, and I'm excited, but I'm gonna have to get a little bit smarter, and I'm gonna have to see this place a little bit better. And we're gonna do that right after this. All right, working up. Same water, different part of the pocket though. Sticking close to those trees. Ooh, refusal. They're still in there. That one was a little more selective. Nice bend in the river. Flies following the currents. Ah, man, these are incredible trout. I want to see what they are. Steelhead, salmon, and cutthroat all run from the Pacific up into this drainage. It could be the offspring of any one of those, or it could be an adult. One great thing about the Cascades and most of Western Washington is you can catch just about anything. And it's humid. It is very humid. Looks like a good little run, doesn't it, girl? If you were a fish, would you be there? No, you'd still be eating voles? I don't doubt it. That's where you and I differ on thinking. There we go, right into the bubbles. If I was a fish anywhere, I would be feeding where the bubbles are stacking up. There's a couple of current seams coming together, pushing insects together. Work from the tail up. There we go, that's a good cast. Little 7.5 foot rod, I put a 4-weight tip. I have the option of a 4 or a 5-weight tip. Not a whole lot of rod makers do that, but Denver Dave Collier out of Colorado does, as do I, so I like to have options. In this flat water, fish can see a lot better, and I have a feeling they're gonna be a little bit pickier. May not want this big bushy fly that I was doing, had that hard take on in faster water. Fish in flat water are often pickier, and that's what I'm noticing here. I saw one feeding on a natural. Oh, yeah, right there. Saw that one. Let's get a little closer and see. Got a medium-sized insect imitation on. That may work. A little bit more line. Now we'll really work it out there. All right, that's just about in line. Take up the slack. Oh, not even a look. I'm about to cry now. Oh. Oh, what's wrong? Are we not catching any fish yet? Don't worry, girl. This cast right here, I know it. Don't worry, girl. This cast right here, I know it. Dark water, bright fish. Whoa, yeah. Oh my goodness. If I didn't know any better, I'd say it was a little steelhead. Oh! And it threw the hook. Line control and vision of my line, exactly what that line is doing is critical. Because as soon as any fish touches that fly and feels it's artificial, it's going to try to shake it. So I have to know as soon as they touch it to set the hook. So why nymph fishing can often be actually the most difficult type of fishing there is. There's the bottom, a dead drag. Just a little bit of a touch. Fish is a little bit more of a yank, but it's such a subtle variation. It actually takes a lot of practice to figure it out. Even after you think you have it figured out, it can take more figuring. All right, we're gonna hook around that log and see what comes out of there. A little pocket water up the head of the log jam. Not really casting, a whole lot more flipping. Just using the current of the river to load the rod up. The lower end of the drift. I am tugging it to those logs a little bit and then just flipping out. In this fast water, it's super shallow, but it's deep over there. Those fish should be holding deep. Ah. What happens if you don't use the river to load your rod? You get to catch alders. It's fun. Let me get this tangle out. When we come back, we'll find out what these fish are. Oh, lost track of it. Can't see it fly. Can't know if you caught a fish. There you go. You can see that stimulator. Didn't see that drop off. That can be trouble. Wow. Yeah, I guess you'd have to watch where you walk even when you're casting out in front of you. May have put the pool down, unfortunately. Got a little guy, take. Right there. Finally. There's a lot more going on to catching these beautiful mini steelhead, which is what they fight like, but what they are in effect is a native red band. These are the juvenile rainbows. These are a juvenile rainbow that decided just to stay here, high up in the mountains, instead of going in down to the ocean. You can see it's getting a big fat belly, and by staying here and eating on insects, and in this case, a caddis imitation, it'll get fat and healthy with less predation. There goes a beautiful native red band trout, little juvenile steelhead. It could be either, depending on whether it decides to go back to the ocean or not. But for now, I'm sure it's gonna stay up in this cool mountain stream that really any angler should love as well as any fish. But I know now we're fighting some hot rainbows, and these rainbows have gusto. We're gonna go right back after them right after this. Beautiful pool. Caddis, stimulator. Floating along nicely, getting bumped. Oh, little guy noses and misses. There we go. Feisty fish. Just nailed it. Right at the head. Oh, there we go. And it is another brilliant rainbow. What a beautiful fish hanging out to beat the summer's heat. Was a brilliant fish. If you haven't caught a native red band in the Cascade Mountains, you really need to get yourself here. Find yourself a little stream, surrounded in greenness, evergreenness, as we're in Washington, and catch a little yellow stimulator, a little elk-hair caddis, and that seems to be the magical answer to bring these bright red striped fish up to the surface and leaping and jumping. Man, it makes you smile. This is a good looking pool. Everything a red band could want seems to be right in front of me. Took my glasses off though, it's getting a little bit darker down here, and the water's so clear I can see to the bottom. So the vision's fine. Now I just gotta fool the fish. I'm losing the flies right away on all these bubbles. The wings of my flies are white. So I'm watching that orange butt section of my leader. I'm just waiting, and I'm looking at that orange pointing to where my fly is. And if I see a splash or if I see that line uncoil, I'll know a fish is on. Getting a little deeper. Fish are hiding on the bottom, but coming up to feed on the caddis. That was a powerful little guy. Threw the hook when I got to shore, but that flipping and flopping, they've learned two things that the fish know from that. One is it gets them upriver. Their parents know the harder they flip their tail, the farther up they get, and the better red and mating position they're gonna get. The other thing is, the harder they flip that tail on that head, the more they're gonna flip my hook out of their mouth.
Wow, it's been such a fascinating trip to fish here in the Cascade Mountains in Washington and to find just extreme light conditions. This summer's sun just blasts through these trees, filtering through some of the leaves, which are a lot bigger than the ones in Montana, and then to leave half the river as well in the shadow. And this contrasting light can't be easy for the fish either. They've got to identify edible food, or my fake flies, which they love to eat, but they prefer the live ones. Kind of weird. But if they can't make out the life, they have to be able to identify food from the shadow and from the light. And if they can't do that, they aren't going to make it to the Pacific. So it's only the hardest fighting and the fastest feeding ones that are going to be able to make it back, fed on shrimp, which we all love to do, especially Ariel, and come right back up to this beautiful place in the Cascades. Ariel, let's continue on upstream, and someday we'll catch more red band in Washington, don't you think? Maybe there'll be a blind trout somewhere, Ariel, and then it will like not even question my authority. Who knows?